Welcome back to the Knotenkopp podcast. My name is Johanna. I live in northern Germany and I do talk in this podcast episode all about my knitting. We are back with a regular podcast episode. I am still working on that special episode all about frogging finished objects and reclaiming that yarn. I think I filmed most of it, but to be honest, I couldn't really find the time. It stretched out over a longer period than I thought. And second of all, I think I was being a little bit too cool about frogging my just recently finished Rauma sweater. It's just that's basically the last thing I need to frog, and I don't know, it makes me more sad than I thought so, even though I want to have that yarn and I'm not wearing it or anything, so it just makes sense for me to frog that. But yeah, I think I need to get over myself. So that's still in the making. I'm also planning on doing a baby knits video, I think probably end of July, beginning of August. We have a lot of finished baby objects, which I won't show. First of all, I don't think we have the time for it because I already have 4 baby FOs on its own. So probably this would be a very long episode. And I really want to talk about all the yarn, all the things I still want to make, etc. So that is I think a video in itself. Also, I know some people really aren't interested in baby knits or might even be triggered by it. It can be a sensitive topic, and yeah, and I have so much to say. It's I am in baby knit world, it's my happy place. But yeah, we are talking today about grown-up garments, all for me. And so yeah, but just to let you know, that's in the pipeline. I was hoping to film earlier than end of June, middle of June are we? Yeah, it just didn't happen. A lot of things have been going on. I hinted on that already in my last podcast episode. That I was going through some things with my workplace, but also my living situation. The last time you saw me, I was still on sick leave. I went back to work 3 weeks ago, so that's been a lot. I think work has been all in all fine for what it is, but it definitely obviously took my knitting time, going from 3 months just knitting every day to having to work a full-time job again, and yeah, just knitting in the evenings on the weekend. And I really felt that it took most of my energy to go for 8 hours into the office, and most of the evenings I made it to 2 rows of my sleeve and fell asleep on the sofa. So there hasn't been that much progress, which was kind of frustrating, but I guess that's just life. That's the situation for probably most of us knitters, that we don't have the time to knit that we would like to have. In other terms, before I left in February, I already told my boss that I'm going to leave this job during this year, and I finalized that when I came back in the end of May. I've been looking up flats or flat hunting since I would say March, April kind of, in different town. It's still, I am still gonna live in northern Germany, but on the other side of on the other sea. Right now I'm very close to the North Sea, and I will move to the Baltic Sea, specifically to Lübeck. So if anyone around that area is watching this and wants to hit me up from autumn on to found a knitting group or meet and knit. I'm definitely on a hunt for that. Like Lübeck has at least two yarn stores, but both are not like great yarn stores, I would say. They're like, one is a all-purpose Lana Grossa yarn store, and the other one is like a bin sale out, or like you have like these big baskets full of sale out yarn. It's very warehousey vibe. It's not a cozy come and sit and knit a yarn shop. So yeah, it's definitely like a search maybe to find a knitting group, but I also am still going to my knitting group in Hamburg if I can like make it work somehow. But yeah, so that's happening. That's a huge life change. Like I said, I'm going to move in autumn, specifically in the middle of September. I'm also going on holiday before that for the first time for a very long time, so very excited about that. And I also have some knitting deadlines until then. I'm hoping like despite like the 2 special episodes I want to do, to film in probably August, the next podcast episode, and then you will see me in a new flat, specifically a new house. Yeah, I found basically the flat of my dreams. The town I'm moving has a very beautiful old city center. It's very loved by tourists, especially Danish tourists, which is, I think, very funny to me, because like we all want to go to Copenhagen or to Denmark for yarn shopping, and that's like the one city like where all the Danish people like to go. Probably there are more in the world, but it's very well known for their beautiful Christmas markets, and a lot of like, because it's very close to Denmark, you can go there by ferry. Oh yeah, a lot of Danish people come over for the German Christmas market. Yeah, so, and the old city center has very cute, very old houses, and especially like something that is called Ganghäuser. Like in the late Middle Ages, where it was like the peak of the city, it was like a very wealthy, rich city, caused by trade, especially since it has a harbor. And in these like cute houses, the staff was like the maids, etc., were living. So they are really, really tiny, but like perfect for me. And yeah, I am going to rent one of these. I actually will have an outdoor space, which was like one of my criteria, that I can finally sit outside and knit and have like plants and stuff like that again. So very much looking forward to that. And it's like, I think it has like a lot of like cozy knitting vibes. Like I will put in a picture because I know all the knitters are gonna love it. Like it's like little witchy knitting house. So very, very much looking forward to be podcasting from there in the future. Yeah, all in all, huge life changes, but I think you get the vibe. I'm very excited. I am much more optimistic and positive now. It was kind of a drain since last autumn because I felt very stuck and unhappy in my current life situation, and I'm looking forward to that change. I still don't know what I'm going to do when I move there, which is crazy to a lot of people, but I am certain I will find a job. It just, I am not sure right now what I want to do after I finish here. So yeah, it's a lot of ifs and whens and big life questions, but I will keep you along or get you along, whatever the saying is, and keep you updated. And probably this, in some way, it will always affect my knitting. But yeah, so, but I think you get the gist. There's a lot of happening this summer. I also, because I was looking at flats on the weekends, I didn't really have that much knitting time, but I traveled a lot with my knitting, so that was quite good. Also why I have finished so many baby knits, because they are like really easy to take with me because they don't need a lot of yarn. They also 100% replaced my sock knitting. Nonetheless, I have 3 finished objects, like grown-up objects. I have, I think, 4 sweater whips. Obviously I also have a baby whip, but I won't talk about that. And I have a lot of knitting plans, like a lot. Like I seriously, like I mean, you see, if you've seen my 2024 knitting plans video in the beginning of the year, you've seen that I bought a lot of like sweater amount of yarns that I haven't knit with so far, and I think that's all piling up in autumn, which is a little bit crazy because I think, I mean, I'm not the only one with this, but I could, like, my autumn knitting plans list is covering at least like until winter 2025. So I have my projects planned out like in a year ahead. I already know what I want to knit next spring, etc. So it is kind of crazy. But it also like keeps me busy, keeps my brain busy, and that's like also one of the things that is very intriguing to me with knitting, like that, like there's always, I can plan out like yarn combination, pattern combination, sizes, colors, etc. I think that's like one of the most important or elementary aspects for me for knitting, that it just doesn't get boring for me. So yeah, I also acquired a sewing machine for very cheap. It was secondhand. It's like a 90s model, and it's working. I was very lucky in that department. I think I talk in my other video a little bit about it, but I am not planning to become a garment sewist. I'm just like a very utility-based sewist when I need to hem stuff, and it's great for steeking, and it was just a bargain. I paid like 25 euros and got like a lot of equipment with it. Actually, I got a huge button collection, which comes in so handy for all the baby knits. And yeah, so I hemmed a lot of stuff, and I also have 2 steeking projects on my needles right now. So yeah, that's going to be interesting. I hope this all works out and I didn't make a major mistake with modifying projects to steeking, because they aren't supposed to be steeking projects. And I think with that we can get into the knitting, or first of all the finished objects. So first, what I'm wearing. I mean, I talked a lot about what life is going on about now. So yeah, I mean, I've had it finished last time already, but it was still drying. My Peacock Tee. I actually mainly knit this last summer, and just the sleeves were missing, and yeah, and then I put it in hibernation because I really didn't want to knit on a t-shirt pattern that I couldn't wear over the winter. And I'm actually really, I'm getting like, or I'm being, what do I want to say? I am more and more intrigued by the concept of hibernation or hibernating whips. First of all, I felt like, okay, if you don't finish it, you are not that excited about it, like, then maybe you don't want to knit that, or you don't need that. But I put this into hibernation, and also the twist loop neck or collar or something, however it's called. And actually it was a blast, because when you, like, when the season comes around again and you start, like, you pick it up again, you have most of the time most of it done already, and it feels like you are so much faster than like starting from the total, like from zero basically. And so this was like also great, because you just had to knit like teeny tiny sleeves, and then I had a finished object, which was so satisfying. So yeah, I put like 2 whips of mine also in hibernation, and we will pick them up in autumn when I moved. Yeah, I think I will still feel the same about like picking them up then. It just, I have too many sweater whips right now, and I needed to prioritize, and they're like, these are more things I want to wear in summer or late summer or something, and the other ones are more autumn or winter appropriate. So yeah, they are like I needed to make some decisions because I had like at some point at least 10 plus whips, and I didn't get stressed out, but I wanted to like, because of the many whips I had, like I wasn't making progress at any of them because I was sharing my time. I was giving love to all of them, but yeah, just like putting some in hibernation and pick them up in autumn. So let's get back to that t-shirt. I have no idea what size I need. So this is the Peacock Tee by Leknit or Lene Holme Samse, if that's how you say her name. It's a circular yoke, top-down lace garment. I guess you have seen it on some other podcasts recently as well. At least I have seen it, and it's been quite popular since it came out every summer. She has like, I think, a sweater version of it, a light version of it. Like, yeah, she definitely used this like pattern a few times. This is like a close-up on me, and I will maybe put in a picture. I still haven't taken FO pictures for Instagram on it, and I really like it. I knitted a circular yoke lace t-shirt last spring as well in a light gray color, and I really like that, though that has like some challenges because it's like a baby alpaca and a strand held with a cotton thread, and I think like sometimes I really like sweat into it. Maybe too much information, but that's the reality of knitting or wearing your knitted garments, and it's kind of like high maintenance to hand wash that every time. This is knit with Sandnes Garn Duo, and I think the color is called Denim. I will put in like the number on the screen as I always do, and I really, really like that color. I think the original pattern is written for Line, but it works like I used the same needle size, I think 4mm needles, and yeah, it worked perfectly with this yarn as well. I am not the biggest fan on Line. I think a lot of people really like it for summer knitting, but you can really see the different fibers, like the different threads, which I think a lot of people like, but I wasn't a fan of it, and they didn't have the greatest blue. So, and I knew I wanted a blue top because I already have a lot of like white blouses or lighter ones, and I actually, and we will talk about that for a different garment as well, I have for the summer a lot of light bottoms, like light shorts, but also like long linen pants. I also have like a light yellow, like buttery yellow cotton pants or trousers, which I really like, but it's quite hard to combine, like because I have so many beige and white and cream tops. It's sometimes like I don't want to wear like beige pants with a beige blouse or something. I think it gives a lot of like colonialism vibes, like going on a safari, not in a good way. So I really needed some like darker tops to have some contrast to my bottoms for the summer. So, and I'm really, really happy with the fit. And just stand up. This is like my belly button is here. I'm just wearing loungewear. Oh, now I made a dent in it. And it has a really nice length. I don't think it like blocked out very much the yarn. It just basically stayed the same size. I knitted this. Obviously, the lace opened up. The only thing is like I really enjoyed knitting with this yarn, and I'm seriously considering knitting with it in the future. But like today, I find it a little bit itchy, which is crazy because I think, yeah, it's, I don't know the percentage out of my head, but it is a merino cotton blend. So there shouldn't be an itch factor, but somehow it feels a little bit itchy to me. Like to a point where I can ignore it, but yeah, it's like not for every day. I like sometimes I want to put it on and I was like, oh, no, not today. So maybe I need to, yeah, test out some other cotton merino blends, because like in general I really like this DK-ish cotton merino blend, like in weight, in how the fabric feels, yeah, knitting wise. That was a success, I would say. So I think, yeah, that's all I like to say. It has some positive ease. I will put it in the description. I actually found out yesterday that my boobs gotten bigger. I mean, I know, like, if you have your cycle, like, they change. I mean, I've experienced that before, but I'm on the pill and I don't have a cycle at the moment, and haven't had one for like 3 years now, so they shouldn't really change. And but I have like a bigger bust. At least I measured yesterday, because I got the pattern of the tall setting, just curious and to support Rebecca from the Crea Bear, and she has the option of bust, how is it called, bust increases, or like bust shaping. And I looked up, like, because she has a good information link in her pattern, how to find out that if you need bust shaping or not. Generally I like that boxy fit. I don't think I want bust shaping, but I was like curious, how do you define something like that? And I was pretty sure that I need, if I wanted it, my size would correlate with bust shaping. I have like a D cup in brass, and yeah, I definitely would need bust shaping if I wanted to. And at that point I measured like everything, like my upper bust, my bust, my shoulders also, and my waist and hips, and found out that like my shoulders, my bust and my hips are all the same measurement, which is interesting, I guess. And I definitely have like the like 7 to 10 centimeters circumference difference between my upper bust and my widest point of bust measurement, and that is like, that would qualify you if you wanted to bust shaping. So I found that really interesting. Yeah, next on to the next finished object. My pressed flower socks. That's how they're looking. I mean, they're like a little bit blurred out. This is like their true coloring, but that's a little bit far away. So that's how they are looking. You might, so I think that, yeah, first of all, pressed flower socks by Savory Knitting or Amy Christoffers. She also has several projects with this mosaic knitting pattern. I think a cardigan, a sweater, a shawl, socks, etc. I really wanted to try out this pattern. First of all, I never did mosaic knitting before, and second of all, I still have all like these mini sock skeins, 20 grams, from my Advent calendar from the beginning of 2023, and I had no idea what to do with it. And I thought like they are the perfect amount to put like in a pressed flower sock, and I think that also brings out beautifully the color changing hand dyed yarn by Nervus Fibre. And I have a lot of contrast color sock yarn to match up, and these were the first ones. So I have a few things to say. So the pattern makes you cast on the same amount of stitches for every size, and then you should adapt it by the needle. I think that it was like 64 stitches or something. I don't quote me on that. And I think the needle for down here I used 2 millimeter, and up here 2.5, which are my regular sock knitting needle sizes, though I knit a lot with a lot less stitches usually. I usually knit myself like a 56 stitch count. So I felt like, okay, like they will definitely fit, and obviously I didn't gauge swatch for socks. Like, I don't know, that might be rare species of knitters if they gauge swatch for socks. And she says like if you have bigger feet you should size up in needle size, and I didn't feel like I needed that since it's like so much more stitches than my regular sock. I also thought like mosaic knitting is much more stretchier than like stranded color work, so we will be fine. And I have to say, I was barely fine. I can get these over my feet with blocking, or after blocking, but it's not a struggle, but it's not that easy either. So, and I wouldn't like want to go up in needle size either, because I think the gauge is pretty perfect. It might also be that she has a totally different heel construction than I did. I did like a German short row heel, as I always do, and she put like, lets you put in a thread and then cuts where the heel is supposed to be afterwards, and I don't even know what heel she puts in, but I guess it's like a heel that has like a, I mean, this is a very rounded heel, but also has like a very slim arch here. And I think the like Fliegel heel or fish lips kiss heel or something, they all have like this very straight part here, and then like in a 90-degree angle are going for the foot path. So I think there's more room for actually the arch to get through. So that might have been an issue. I might just have also for the foot size I have like a 38 European foot size. I might have just a very high arch. That might be an issue. But yeah, so be a little bit aware of that they might fit you very tightly, especially if you don't gauge swatch for a sock. I also had some yarn left over and wanted to use it in a toe, and totally miscalculated. Like I still have some grams left over, and I could just start the toe around here, which I will know for my next pressed flower socks, because I'm definitely gonna knit this again, and I might size up to 3 millimeter for the double for the mosaic knitting part. I also I don't know how her cuff, like is it cuff, like the ribbing at the top is supposed to be. I did 3x1, which I think looks really neat, and a German twisted cast on, and also did like more repeats than her or on her sample pictures in the pattern. I don't know exactly how many repeats I did more, but I put like very detailed Ravelry notes in like with all the grams I used and obviously the amount of repeats into my Ravelry project. As you can see, I also didn't do the pattern like the mosaic knitting on the toe, on the foot, because I knew I didn't have enough yarn to do that, and rather like just do a contrast toe then. The only thing I didn't realize beforehand and would change next time is, or like there are two things. So I didn't realize, like she has two different charts, and I was like, what is this? Like they look exactly the same until you knit them, and like in the like the top chart, the first chart, the flowers are denser together and then they are more evenly spread out, and I really prefer like this kind of like I can't remember the word, but like the way they are like separated. I think, yeah, it's more evenly, and I think next time I would just start with that chart and just skip this chart, because I don't think they add much to the pattern. I guess like when you have boots on, this is the part that's looking out of your boot, so that's kind of cool, but like all in all, I think it's more the missing symmetry, it's not symmetrical. So, and that's kind of an issue for me. I also don't really like how I stopped immediately with the after the one flower. I think I would do like 1 or 2 rows of like these like dots after that, so it is more blended into like the non-color work foot. So these are the things I might change with the next one, but generally now I have a feeling of how much yarn a sock like this would take. I really enjoyed it. It's a slow process, but it's a nice process, I would say. Like, it's slow in a good way, and it's definitely like a nice train ride kind of knitting. I think they're very pretty. I love how the contrast between the dark navy and the like orangey, turquoise, bluish colors come out. Was there something else? I also want to try out on the next sock a shadow wrap heel. My friend tried that and really recommended it to me, because I sometimes really get like even if I don't use different colors, like gaps where your German short row heel touches like the rest of the sock. And I think she said like she doesn't have issues with her shadow wrap heel with that. I also think, like, I know these are called the pressed flower socks, and I get where the like name comes from, but for me, especially with like that gritted dot pattern behind it, it really reminds me of like jeweled crowns. I looked that up if it's just like something in my head, or actually there was a crown that looked really similar. So I don't know exactly where my alarm just cut me off. So, but for me, this looks very much like a jewel crown, or like a cross. So like these look like crosses to me. I don't know who else sees that. I'm not religious or anything, but for me that reminds me of like middle-aged like Middle Ages kings and queens crowns. And I think there's like a crown of the German Kaiser who looks really similar. I also looked up like because while I was knitting this, I was watching The Crown, and I was like, maybe I'm just too influenced by that TV show. But actually I think there's no well-known crown, British crown, which looks like this. Little like side-tracked information here, but like this is like my crown jewel socks now. My last finished object I won't put it on because I just depeeled it, and how do you call like this with this roller to get like hairs off, because I had a visit of a white dog last weekend, and this white dog hair is everywhere, especially it is on my navy sweater, and this is like blowing out a lot. So this is my long sleeve poppy tee, like I modified it to have like a sweater fit. This is going, like you can see, even though I just rolled this thing over, it is just still very much blown out. So it is like a short sleeve t-shirt pattern by PetiteKnit, but I modify it to have like a sweater fit. I really like the English tailoring sleeve and shoulder construction on this. You will see that a few times on here, and that was the reason why I wanted like a more tight fitting sweater, or less ease sweater, because usually my sweaters have 20 to 30 centimeter positive ease, and I think this has like around 13 or something. I will put the exact measurements onto the screen. I also started putting like the extra measurements of my garments onto my Ravelry pages for the projects, because like I knit everything off gauge, so it's not really helpful if I put in like I knitted size large off gauge. Like, what does that mean? I am in a lot of ways really happy. So the yarn is a merino cashmere mix by the Wollfabrik. I told you about it last time that I actually needed to get more yarn, and I got 200 grams. I could have gotten less. I asked the owner of that shop if that was possible, because one of you told me that in the comments that it is possible to get less yarn, less than like the minimum quantity of 200 grams if you rebuy the yarn. She said that's totally possible, but I had no idea how much I will still need to finish the poppy sweater. And I also really like the color and the yarn. I thought, like, if I have enough, if I have too much, I can just knit something else with that. So I just needed around like 50 grams, a little bit less, I think. And so I have 150 grams of DK-ish yarn left over, which will come next to. I am like lengthwise very happy. I did like sewn bind off with 1x1 rib on all the edges, and it's very soft. The one thing, and I was anticipating this while I was knitting it, everything gets stuck to that, and I have a lot of hair loss at the moment, and like I said, the dog's hair fly to it, so yeah, it is a high maintenance garment in that way that you kind of need to clean it a lot of times. It is also pilling, but I think the dark navy is very forgiving in the way that it just doesn't show the peely little knots. So yeah, it's very functional in my wardrobe. That was like the main thing I wanted. I was missing darker tops, like not just in shirts but also in sweaters. I have a lot of like lighter sweaters knit up, and I really needed a darker one, and I think dark navy looks like great with everything in my wardrobe, and I've worn it several times to work. It looks great with a white collared shirt, and I feel very smart in it, and yeah, I'm very happy I have it in my wardrobe. Like I mentioned, and you've seen it last time already, I am reknitting that pattern and also that construction in a different pattern, but the only thing I would change is this has a very deep armhole for my body, and it's okay for this one. If I would reknit it, I would do less deep armhole, and that's what I did on one of my current ribs, which I will get to next. But so yeah, and I think you can see that also on PetiteKnit, that like the poppy tee and also the Maggie Cardigan has a very deep armhole even on her, and even though she's knitting obviously less increases because she is smaller than I. And so yeah, that's the thing that I would make people aware of, and with like my current rib, I remeasured it against here, where I would stop knitting the armhole depth, and I balanced that out with casting on more stitches under the arm, but I will talk about this next. So yeah, very happy with all three of my finished objects. I don't know out of my head what all of them cost. I mean, for this one I can't even tell because it was part of an advent calendar and a scrappy sock yarn, but I will put in the information for the cashmere sweater, because I think for a cashmere sweater, or a partly cashmere sweater, it was quite affordable. And I have no idea how much that costs, but I will put it on the screen. So let's get into whips. I need to take a sip. I have some rhubarb lemonade, rhubarb sparkling juice with me, and it's amazing. So how do we do this? Like, what is the first one? That was the hanger. Let's start with the one I made the least progress with. So I think, yeah, I showed you this last time. Because I like that construction of the poppy tee so much, I decided I wanted another poppy sweater. And I mean, she had like PetiteKnit has like also the Lyon sweater and Lyon sweater chunky with the same construction, the Maggie Tee, and I don't even know if there's another one. But like depending on what your gauge is, you can have a wide variety of patterns to choose, and obviously other designers are really onto that English tailoring construction as well. But since I had the poppy tee already and it worked with my gauge, I'm just using this. So, and this is also a yarn by Wollfabrik. It's a merino nylon mix, and I really love this color. It's amazing. I think last time I haven't joined split for sleeves and body. Obviously I did that right now. I still have way to go and obvious 2 sleeves left. I finished the 2x2 ribbing this morning, and I think I'm very pleased with it. Like as I just shown you, the other one has a little bit tapered sleeves with every 4 centimeters I decrease 2 stitches and 1x1 rib, and I wanted like all of like these very similar garments, because they are all stockinette and plain colors, to be all a little bit different. And I always I got inspired to make this bright green sweater from like the brand Baba, if you know it. It's I think a Spanish knitwear brand which makes amazing knitwear. And also Daughter, they are recently a lot in my Instagram advertising, and they also have like bright red and bright green knitwear which looks amazing, and I was very inspired by that. I think a lot of other people also had like that really true green trend. I mean, Rebecca from the Crea did like the pea green sweater, I think she called, or pickle green sweater, and I know like Anna from Andy Knits did something very bright green last year, and also Tiffany from, what's her handle again? I forgot how, but I guess everyone knows Tiffany with her live streams. I think she has also a bright green sweater. So yeah, I'm really liking it. I wanted a more relaxed and oversized and more like varsity look to it, so I felt like the 2x2 rib was really fitting to that, made it a little bit more chunky. This is also a little bit bigger than the navy blue version, and I will knit this one with straight sleeves. And yeah, so I think there is like some difference between them, but both of them fit really well. I will put in, I tried it on this morning and put in a picture of me, but this is like very slow progress since I have like 4 sweater whips going right now. Yeah, it's like usually I have 1 or 2, but like all of these take some times. But I'm really enjoying it. It's a lovely color. I think from far away you can't really see it, but it is like slightly heathered. So really looking forward, and it's quite lightweight also, like it's quite thin, so for me that feels like a summer sweater. Probably I'm one of the few regions in the world where like, or live in a climate where there is something like a summer sweater needed. After that, I cast on something very cool and very exciting. Oh. I feel like this video is already very long. Where's the start here? That's the start. This is going to be the Würfelmuster cardigan by Lana Grossa from the Nordic Knits 1 magazine. I've shown this magazine several times over the last 2 years. I think it's a beautiful edition. But the patterns are a little bit challenging. There are a few things I would like to knit, and this was one of the ones. And it has like this beautiful square checkered pattern to it. Obviously it's knit bottom up, and like I mentioned, I have a sticking, or at least one sticking project, and this is one of them. So this is supposed to be knit flat. I have an issue with knitting ribbing flat. It really depends on the yarn as well, but generally, like, I think a lot of people think it's because I'm a combinational knitter. That has just slightly to do with that. I don't twist my stitches, like I untwist the stitches, like I am aware of that. But it is actually, Rebecca from the Creator Bear recommended me a YouTube source where someone like describes in very technical terms how, like, why our ribbing looks a certain way sometimes, and it just has to do something with like the length of the yarn, blah blah blah. It's just very technical, I can't even explain it. But since I know that and I wanted a clean, really nice bottom 1x1 ribbing, I decided to stick that. First of all, the yarn really lends to it. This is Bergschafwolle. It doesn't have a brand or anything. I took it from the cone, and that's why it looks so funny. Oh my god, is this PG? Yeah, so it is a yarn that was bought by someone for weaving, so it is very sticky, woolly fiber in this beautiful like light silver gray, or like beigey silver gray. And so it sticks totally. Probably you wouldn't even need to sew the edges if I cut this. And I just added X amount of stitches in the middle here to create a sticking line. I think I always, like, because I'm sticking something else as well, I always try to figure out how wide is going to be the bottom band and try to put a similar stitch count into there. So if you try it on, you get a vibe how it fits when with the bottom band. And so this is like going to block out a lot, I guess, like in all directions, because it is a very interesting combination of stockinette squares, and these squares are a combination of brioche and half fisherman's rib stitches. I have never seen something like that before. The pattern is not easy to understandable. All the patterns are like kind of a mindfuck, I have to say. Like, they are so hard to read, and they really remind me of why it took me so long to get from crocheting into knitting, because these were like the kind of patterns I found in vintage knitting books from my grandmother, and the ones my mom used to knit from magazines, and they are like not the easiest and accessible. Like, just even finding where the pattern starts, or like the first step for the pattern, or the gauge in the pattern description is so hard. Like, the layouting is just horrible. But once you get it, it's not a complicated knitting pattern. It just takes some time to, like, it's not the like you cast on and immediately can knit it. Like, you have to figure out like the different steps and stuff like that, and the stitch pattern, and you basically achieve like this rib detail by like doing a mix out of like yarn overs and knitting them obviously together again, but also like knitting in the row below. And usually brioche and half fisherman's rib, they look the same, but one is knitted with, I think brioche is the one for me with yarn overs, and half fisherman rib is for me the one where you knit in the row below. Maybe I'm confusing this right now. I haven't knit one of either for a very long time, but I was really surprised to see this like in a one pattern together. And actually it's very joyful. Like, I really enjoy knitting with this like kind of rustic yarn. It's like not scratchy or any, or a little bit scratchy, but it doesn't feel scratchy while knitting it. And on the other hand, the knitting pattern is very fun, like really a joy. And but on the same time, like, even though I would like to have this cardigan, this is like on my garment knit list really low priority. Also, it's kind of time intensive because I need to look at that chart. And as you can see, I marked like every dice, like because Würfel cardigan translates to like dice cardigan, with or dice repeat, with all my plasticky markers. So yeah, I will see how that gets along. I think I've decided, like, I think the pattern is constructed that you knit the sleeves from the bottom up and graft them into the drop shoulder. I don't think I will do that because I hate grafting, and I think I'll just knit the sleeve top down. And I think I checked like if it would bother me to have the stitch pattern reverse, and I just don't think anyone would care, especially not me, and I think most people don't even know what a reverse stitch is. So yeah, that's one of my favorite projects, but like very, very slow progress, not high on my to finish list for the summer. So probably you won't see that in the next podcast. I don't think I will make much progress on this, and I think I have a lot of yarn for this because this takes humongous amounts of yarn. Because I think the knitting magazine is only available in German. It has a Ravelry page now, which is great. And the magazine as well, but also like this pattern. If you are looking for something similar, I think the Corshaun sweater is very similar, and I think there's also a cardigan version of that, and that has a different pattern. It is like, I think, a basket weave pattern, but it looks very similar. It also has like this checkered board textured vibe, so that's a good dupe for that. Continuing with cardigans and sticking projects, I started my Maggie cardigan, as I mentioned last time, and I got the yarn last time, this amazing red color. I also have a little mini knit along with Abby from Slow Knits and Rebecca from Moving Stitches. I think she mentions that also in her podcast, so check that out if you're interested. Abby already finished hers, like, wow, and Rebecca and I am very behind, because as you can see, I have a lot of garments going on, and yeah, like I said, the work, going back to work, really took my knitting time. So I'm knitting this with the color Deep Röd from Sandnes Garn, which is this beautiful red color. This is a lot of like glaring with the white, and as you can see, like the mohair really makes a difference in the color. So I really love this dark red color, and I really didn't want to orangey or to like fiery red of a color, but I wanted it a little bit less Christmassy or like dark burgundy red and more red. And I have to say, I think I nailed it. I think it's blurring out a little bit, so I'm trying to hold it back. Like, this is more of the accurate color. And yeah, it's like the same construction as the green sweater and the dark blue sweater. I think if you haven't bought the Poppy Tee or the Maggie cardigan, just get one of them. Like, because they are basically the same exact pattern. I think PetiteKnit even put a mistake into the English version of the Maggie cardigan, where she forgot to take out that you, for the Poppy Tee, join in the round, and obviously for the Maggie cardigan you don't. I am knitting the German version, so I didn't notice that mistake, but Abby and Rebecca noticed that. So I would recommend getting the Maggie cardigan and just like pick up extra stitches instead of the bottom band, or yeah, cast on extra stitches instead of the bottom band, and join the sweater in the round, and then you have the Poppy Tee pattern. I mean, you can spend obviously the money on both patterns as well, but like if you want to save a little bit money, that would be my recommendation, because it's even the same stitch count, like seriously. So yeah, I cast this on, and First of all, it's the first time I'm knitting with fingering merino held with mohair, so I couldn't believe that it took me so long to do that, like such a classical combination. It's a really nice fabric, but I like the mohair is really soft. It's not a silk mohair, it's a polyamide wool mohair combination, and it just makes like it is slightly heavy, but like from further away it just seems like a solid red color, which I wanted. And so yeah, I have some part of the body and one sleeve finish. With this sleeve I also decided to not make it tapered and make it straight, because I was inspired by a dropped shoulder cardigan by I think very trendy cardigan brand right now. I think a lot of people got inspired by their cardigans to knit something similar. I think the knitting pattern which is the closest to that cardigan is the Traveler's Jacket or Cardigan by Ozetta, but I wanted something a little bit more fitted on the shoulders, but also wanted a little bit like that cool girl look and not too girly, because obviously I feel like red cardigan is kind of a feminine garment, but I guess that really depends where you're coming from. And you can see that at some point there is no gap anymore, because this was the point after I split for sleeves and body already, where I got so annoyed by purling that I decided I am just gonna stick this project. Like, I don't care anymore. I can't knit or purl another round of this. Like, I was so over it, and I was like, if I have to purl another round, I am not going to finish this garment. Because I have to say, like, doing the same construction 3 times in a row wasn't maybe not the best choice. I wasn't really into it at this point anymore, but I really wanted the finished object, and I still want it. I also try to power through this, because at some point we are getting hot, warm summer weather, and I don't want to knit with mohair then anymore. So I decided to make it a sticking project. I was considering doing that from the beginning, but I got really insecure, because I mean this is like yarn that is dedicated for sticking. Like, it's so sticky and woolly, but this feels obviously very soft. It's like a merino with a mohair yarn, and I was like, if this is too slippery to actually stick, and I haven't sticked before, so this is like all based on not all, it is not based on knowledge, it's just on hopes. And but yeah, I've reached that point. I was like googling it, like, can you stick mohair and merino, and couldn't really find that good of like answers. And then I've had the idea, like, to look up different cardigan patterns which I know are made with like same or similar yarn combinations, if people seek them. And I thought first of the champagne cardigan by PetiteKnit, and I actually found one of the greatest functions on Ravelry, and maybe everyone else knows about it and I'm just late to the party. But in like patterns and also in yarn brands or specific yarn blends, you can look up specific words or terms, and I didn't know that. Like, I thought like, okay, I have to scroll through like millions of comments of people knitted the champagne cardigan, but you can just click on the project of the champagne cardigan, go to projects, and then you can just put in the search bar sticking, and then it puts out all the people who put like the word sticking in their project notes, and you can look up their projects and what yarn they used and see like if anyone did a similar yarn combination than I did. I also did the same with Sunday by Sandnes Garn. I put into the search bar for that yarn sticking, and it put me out like all the projects where people sticked with Sunday by Sandnes Garn, and some did a mohair and Sunday yarn combination. And I was like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. It's safe to stick. And so I decided to make a sticking project, midway project to it. So yeah, you can see That's where my sticking stitches are cast on, and I think it's actually the same width the button band is going to be. I think I'm also going to change the button band. I'm planning on doing probably a double knitted button band, because this way I can avoid the flat knitting of the ribbed button band that PetiteKnit recommends for the baggy cardigan, and that way it will look very neat. I'm also planning on using white buttons. I might change my mind later because I have no idea, like that's very high contrast. But that was the vibe I was going for from that inspiration cardigan. So I think it is blurring out, but it just looks amazing. I will put in pictures of me trying on that sleeve, and yeah, but I still have a lot to go, and also the sticking process ahead of me. I also playing yarn chicken at this point, I realized, because I need one ball for each sleeve, so I need one. I have 3 balls left, and I'm guessing like I need probably like half or 3/4 of a ball for the button bands and the neckline, or maybe even one whole ball. And I don't think one ball will be enough to finish that body and all of that body ribbing. So I'm trying to finish, like, at least knit as far as I can during this week, because on Friday I'm going to Hamburg to my local yarn store, where I bought the Sunday. I have enough of the Mohair, and hopefully find the same yarn in the same dye lot again. But I think worst scenario, I will just use the different dye lot for the button band, and I think that will be fine, because blending with the Mohair, there won't be such a high contrast. So yes, that's the Maggie cardigan. What else? Yes, I also cast on a pillow case, because Hanne Rimmen came out with a new pillow design. I think is it the same? I think she was also part of that vintage Isaga collection. I forgot the name about it. And this pattern really reminds me also of the Aase jacket by PetiteKnit, and it's called the Aase pillow. I have no idea how you say that in Danish. And I think that's also the name of the founder of Isaga, I think, is it? And also the original name of the Jensen yarn by Isaga, Aase or something like that. So yeah, that's that. That pillow pattern is really cool. I highly can recommend it, because it is like a 2-in-1 pattern. So it has like color work, which is also not reversible, but like depending on what your contrast color or your main color is, it looks really different. And it also has like the same color work pattern as a textured version, and I'm knitting the textured version, and in this like off-white, and I'm trying to stretch this so you can see this, and this is how it's looking like. It's not very impressive. So it has like these diamond-y shapes that are very similar to the Aase jacket, but it's not the same stitches, so it just gives a similar geometric shape. And I'm knitting this with, is this the one? Yeah, Rauma Garn Finull. This is the colorway in color 0400, and I guess this is like a fingering sport weight. I am also knitting this off gauge, because I am knitting this on 3mm needles, and the pattern is recommended for 3.5, but I thought it's a pillowcase. And first of all, I guess this woolly Finull will bloom. Oh wow, it's really bright. So, and I think I will do one more repeat, and then I will block it and see to what pillow size I can block it, because it's like in just like in comparison to PetiteKnit patterns, with her pillows, it's just you knit one side of it, and this is like an circular, like you knit the back and the front, which is really enjoyable. And I have like different pillow sizes, and I can just see like which one does it fit the best. I also got a zipper for it already, and yeah, really looking forward to having this on my sofa. I think it looks very cute with this what is it, yellow blanket. And I'm also planning on knitting the colorwork version at some point. I just haven't decided on the color combination I want to do. And yeah, it's also a very slow knitting process. It's also like a train ride knitting, really great because it's entertaining, and it's not that big and heavy yet. And it's also the first time I'm knitting with Finull from Rauma Garn. I really have to say, like, these kind of yarns, like, they make my heart go faster or grow fonder or something. They just bring a lot of joy. And even though this is such amazing soft and silky fabric, it doesn't like do the same thing for me as like some rustic woolly wool. Like, I don't know, I'm a rustic wool girl. Though I appreciate to have like one fancy soft cardigan in my wardrobe. So that's that. I also, like, additionally to that, all of these whips, I thought, like, why not cast on another sweater? And that was the Olga Sweater by PetiteKnit. I really have to restrain myself because this is like the shortest time on my needles, but in some ways I have the same progress as others. Yeah, it's a stripy drop shoulder pattern, which is 100% my cup of tea. Like, I think since the beginning of the year, PetiteKnit has really nailed it for me. Like, the whole cloud collection is my taste. Olga Sweater, Maggie Cardigan, also like the like summer t-shirt or long sleeve thing she's working on currently looks very much like something I would like in my wardrobe. So I don't know, like most of the time I'm not the biggest PetiteKnit fan, but 2024, like, that girl got me. So yeah, 100% loving this. I'm actually knitting this in a worsted Iron weight cotton that I reclaimed from a sweater a year ago or so. And I don't think I have enough, and I think the color is discontinued. So I will need to take the balls I have left over and go to that yarn store because it's from Idee Kreativmarkt, and I think the wool is like Wolle Rödel or Wolle Cotton Universal, I think. In I think midnight blue or something, and something beige. And yeah, I knitted the Marseille sweater 2 or 3 years ago in cotton as well. I get a lot of wear out of it during the summer. It's very practical for me, so I thought I would definitely do another one. And yeah, that pattern was just like really screaming for that yarn, basically. Yeah, I need to see what I will do. I mean, I could also do like the Olga Sweater kind of vibe, because that's like what this pattern is based off, and just do different colors for the sleeves, which would, and like the ribbing and stuff, which could also be really cool. I just don't know the vibe yet, what I'm going for. And also, like, this is like, I really do want to have finished the green and the red cardigan beforehand. The red because of the mohair, and the green because it's like I'm further with it, so I will put this more on the back burner as well. But really enjoying doing the stripes. Like, I'm a stripy girl through and through. You will see several other stripy projects in my knitting plans as well. I think that's it. Like I said, I have at least one baby knit on my needles currently. I also have somewhere 2 started sock projects, but since I started baby knits and finished these bad boys, I stopped kind of knitting socks, and I think I will for a while, because like these small like public transport knits got replaced with baby knits for me, and maybe in autumn I will start knitting socks again. Going into my knitting plans, and I think I have talked already quite long when I look at the time, we will just go fastly through it. I actually have a lot of no, that's not that. I have a lot of cotton yarn left from several projects years ahead, and I've seen like this very pretty one shoulder stripy design, which I won't knit, but I really like the stripes on it, or the stripe distribution, and I thought like, okay, this on the cloud top would be great. So I tried that, and obviously I took my gauge off the needles and didn't bite off. So it would be just like a dark navy, one row of red, 3 rows of white, 1 row of red, and then dark navy again. And I think it could look really cool. I have no idea if I have enough yarn for the cloud top. I will just wing it. If I don't have enough yarn, I will just frog it and maybe do some baby knits out of the cotton next year, because this is just like your very basic cotton that you can get in every department store. So this might be the only summer top I'm going to knit this year. Still very critical on summer tops. I frogged all of my summer tops over the last year, so don't know if this is the one I'm gonna keep. From that frogging session I did, I also reclaimed Sunday from Sandnes Garn in this straw gold yellow color, which I really like, but I don't think it suits me very well. So I decided, and this is on my knitting list for quite a while, to do the Samsø pullover by Knitting for Olive, or Samsø sweater. I think in English it has a different name. Just on the Danish and German website it's called Samsø pullover. And I bought a dark navy to go with it, and I think this combination is much more wearable. Like if the yellow has a high contrast color in the stripes with it, I think white and yellow would have looked really cool as well. But I think this is like more suitable for my complexion. Yeah, I have all the yarn, but I also have another stripy project on my needles right now, and I think I don't need a 5th sweater whip currently. So I think I will try to reduce it to 2. So maybe the Olga and the Würfel cardigan, and then I will cast this on, because it's a finger in weight sweater, so it is also very useful for me during the warmer season, but I'm not in a hurry. Like I have so many sweaters currently, like if it's going to be finished next year, that's all right as well. Also, like, can you tell that I have a color theme? Maybe. So that's that. I also have in my knitting plans other things. So I mentioned last time that I want to knit the marineblue with these like beautiful yarns, hand dyed by Parsley Knits for the book club theme. This is the normal people colorway, and I tried to swatch with that for the marineblue, and it wasn't high contrast enough. No surprise really, because basically this color is in this variegated yarn as well, and that is like a honeycomb brioche kind of pattern, and basically you couldn't see the brioche. So I thought like, but I really want to make that pillowcase for my friend, and I think the colors were so suitable. And I also have the Technicolor pillow pattern by PetiteKnit. I actually finished that one last year, yes. I'm not a fan of my color combination, but I also swatched with these colors, and I think they are absolutely stunning together, because you get a fade. Like at the top, at the bottom you have like a the solid color or the tonal, then you have like the variegated color, and then I used like the rest of Ficolana Avetta Marzipan I had to blend it into the beige, and then it will go back. And I calculated how much grams I need from each color for distributing the fade evenly. I hope it will work out. If it does, I will put it definitely into my Ravelry notes if you're interested to do a 3-color blend from a tonal to, like, if you have like 100 grams of a tonal and 100 of a variegated yarn and you want to just blend them together and do a pillowcase with it, I think this is a great project. I'm totally doing this off gauge, so I need to do some calculations because I'm using a different needle size. I'm doing this on 4mm needles, so this is the reason why I haven't cast on further than this like teeny tiny swatch. And also it's a project that I can't travel with because I need my scale with that to weigh like when do I have to stop with each row and to not use up too much yarn. So that's in the pipeline because I need to finish that until the end of August. So in the backing of the pillow and the zipper. I'm also planning on knitting a sweater for a friend whose birthday is in September. She's also turning 30, and like first she wanted a kind of orange brioche cardigan, and then she found like this commercial sweater which is a bulky weight acrylic sweater with like contrast ribbing, and she asked me like, could I have instead of the cardigan this? And I was like, yeah, of course. That is a way easier knit. It's a bulky weight sweater, stocky knit, so that's like less work for me. You can basically have everything you want or give me recommendations. And I am at the moment on the hunt for yarn. I am not doing an acrylic sweater, like no way. I mean, I think that sweater actually is very low quality and also very pricey for what it is. And I'm definitely not knitting her something like that. I will try to do it like in a higher quality. Bulky or chunky yarn is not really my area of expertise, so it was really hard to find something that I would be enjoying to knit with, and I think I settled on Cascade 220 Grand, so it's like what is it, like I think a chunky yarn. So I think the needle size is like 6 to 8mm needles that is recommended. And I have several patterns saved that I could use because I need something with a like mock neck, turtleneck kind of style. And I think I will just get from Cascade yarn the main color because it's quite pricey and they come in 200 grams hanks, and get the contrast colors from Double Sunday from Sandnes Garn because they have amazing contrast colors that fit the inspiration picture very well, and they have like 50-gram balls, which I probably will hold double to match the gauge of the Cascade yarn, and I will check that out on Friday. So yeah, depending on when I podcast again in August, this might be even finished. I think that's all. I guess seeing the time I will have some struggle to edit this. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed podcasting again. I hope you enjoyed seeing me again. You enjoyed seeing all the whips because I think they are quite interesting projects in here. And I'm really looking forward to having them in my wardrobe. And yeah, let me know what you're working on. Maybe you are working on the Maggie cardigan as well, or the Olga. I guess they are pretty popular right now. Or if someone is even working on the Würfel cardigan, but I mean, it doesn't have many projects, and since it's a German magazine, I don't think it's that well known. But yeah, leave me questions, your comments on my last podcast episode. If you left one, they were like really, really heartwarming and nice again. I really like reading them and try to reply or see at least, like, I'm reading all of them obviously, but yeah, it's always a joy to put these podcasts out, even though I don't feel every day like sitting in front of a camera and putting it onto the World Wide Web. Sometimes it's like a little bit overwhelming, even though I would love to talk about knitting every day to you guys. And yeah, I hope we are going to continue that after I moved. I don't see why not. I definitely have knitting plans for the foreseeable future, so I would love to share them with you. And I see you probably in summer.